So this seems, forgive my language, some kind of ultimatum in the sense.
I don't do ultimatums, I do winning argument. So the first thing to say is we don't know. Government have said very clearly that no decision has been made. So my reaction is very clear, that it would be the wrong decision. The case for HS2 was right 10 years ago when it was made, and it's still right. It's about connectivity between London and the north, and it's about capacity on the West Coast Main Line. And that still stands right now.
Andy, you seem quite angry about this.
I'm very determined about this, and it's why just recently, just literally an hour or so ago, I made an offer to the government, really, which says let's work with the private sector in a new way. No one denies the costs of this railway are substantially higher than were originally planned, and the Prime Minister is right to get a grip of that. But getting a grip does not mean cancelling it north of Birmingham. It means standing back, working with the private sector, all sorts of offers from leading global companies to find a better way of doing this at a cost that we can afford.
So your offer is to get lots of people who understand this round the table with the Prime Minister to try to find a way of keeping the railway going?
Correct. So you said that it would run from Old Oak Common to Birmingham. There's no business case for that. Everybody knows that. Even as the proudest Brummie, that is not right. We need the full line from Euston to Manchester for there to be a good national investment. Therefore, stand back from the bit that is still yet to be planned and say, how do we do this at much less cost? And we've got offers from major companies who've done this in other countries. In France, in Japan, in Hong Kong, it's done differently. It does not cost the taxpayer as much. And that's what we've got to get to, not continue just with this statist approach to it.
And Andy, let me ask you about the effect of cancelling it on the wider levelling up agenda and the North more generally, because Henry Murison, who you know, who's Chief Executive of the Northern Powerhouse Partnership, says that this is madness. Unless we can protect the hybrid bill currently going through Parliament and which authorises the tunnel between Manchester and Manchester Airport, this means the end for Northern Powerhouse Rail, and levelling up as a whole is finished.
So Henry is right on the technical point that HS2 enables Northern Powerhouse Rail. I think he's going a bit far to say levelling up is finished, because let's be clear, the government is doing lots of other very good stuff around levelling up. But there is no question that if we don't go ahead with a connectivity from Birmingham to Manchester, it'll be a very, very serious blow to levelling up.
And if your offer is not taken up with the Prime Minister, and it turns out he has now finally made up his mind and the northern link to Manchester is over, what would that mean for public investment and confidence internationally in the UK?
There's a very important question, Andrew. So, this started off as a debate about a railway, but this has become a debate about international investor confidence. We keep saying what investors need is certainty. Jeremy Hunt has delivered certainty. He's delivered that on the stage today. And then here is a piece which has delivered hundreds of millions, if not billions of pounds already on the promise of this. You cannot then turn around to those investors and say, we've changed our mind.
And so what does that do to Britain's international reputation?
It damages it. It definitely damages it. People have trusted that this is going to happen. You see it already in the property market in Birmingham. You are seeing it coming in the property market in Crewe and in Manchester. You cannot then say, we've changed our mind, we can't do this difficult stuff. As a serious G7 country, we have to do the difficult stuff well.
And if the Andy Street bold and generous offer is rejected, what happens to Andy Street?
Andy Street will keep arguing that HS2 is the right thing to do, and that is the only issue that matters today, Andrew.
But if you don't get the link to Euston and this is done, does that not undermine much of what you have been saying as West Midlands Mayor?
Well, this is why this is so important. You said earlier that I was angry, and I said I'm determined, but for 12 years since this was first agreed, every single time we have done inward investment trips anywhere around the world, in the boardrooms around the world, we've said Birmingham will be at the centre of this new network. And we've just had record inward investment numbers on the back of that. You cannot just change that investment script overnight.
Would you consider resigning as mayor if it goes against you?
We haven't even started to think about that. This is all today, and we worked very hard at short notice, because remember, this wasn't even in the ether a few days ago. We've worked very hard at short notice to concentrate on this offer.
But given the scale of this decision and what you've said about international confidence and all the rest of it, you would presumably consider your position.
Because of the scale of this, it's why I have made such a point today of drawing the media together and say this offer is there. So there's no question about the magnitude of this decision.
So this seems, forgive my language, some kind of ultimatum in the sense.
I don't do ultimatums. I do winning argument. Not just me, though. The people whose voices should be heard are the big company banks, insurance companies, funders. They are the people who really, as a good conservative, fiscally prudent Prime Minister, they're the people who should be drawn in to find an answer to this.
So this is what's slightly strange and confusing about all of this, because we've heard Jeremy Hunt and others saying this is a pro-business government. This is a government which listens and works with business. And yet on this occasion, business seems to be ignored.
And it's also a government that says, on the slogan, it's going to take the right long-term decisions. And that's also what Jeremy has done over the last 12 months. And that's why I'm very confident that this offer is the right thing. Bring those experts in, find the right long-term solution. Do not admit defeat.
Or else?
We've talked about it. We set back levelling up, definitely, that connectivity piece, driving investment into our northern cities. And, of course, we also, I think, set back the prospects of the Conservative Party.
Andy Street, thank you very much indeed for coming in and talking to LBC tonight. Much appreciated.